then, man, that's scary. We better do something about it. Ambition is financial gain. Let me go back.
Some churches, also like, I'm going to say that in some church I went before too, like many years ago, just out of curiosity, and then the thing first is, I saw, you're not able to give $100 right now, everything is about money, giving, hey, you have to give, you're not able to give $100, and they were telling people, you have to give $100 right now, it's like, everything was like, whoa.
And there was really a time when that was so rampant.
Yeah.
And the target was really the older people who, they're retired, they don't have that much expenditures. And when they hear something, of course they want to be blessed, but I guess there's that, how do you call this? There's that overuse of that message that you have to give something in order to receive something from the Lord, and it has to be this amount. And I think you'll know it when you're being deceived, because it's not going to have that peaceful feeling, peaceful. What do you call this? One time I was watching, and it's really bad. And then I almost pulled out the credit card to do it. And then I said, Lord, I was just praying. I said, Lord, I don't have that much money, but blah 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 blah. And then next thing you know, I asked for a sign. I said, Lord, but if it's not from you, then I know that it's not from you if you give me a sign. Sometimes it helps when you really pray and ask the Lord for help, because sometimes you really get deceived, and it's bad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I almost gave and owed something, and then paid for the what's it called?
Yeah, what a deal.
It finally turned out. So anyhow, so here on second chapter, God was just
What? Can we borrow that one for just a minute? It finally dawned on me. Anytime you hear a teaching and you know that there is a verse in the Bible that says exactly the opposite of that, my recommendation is you go with the Word of God. You're talking about a certain amount, right? One.
Exactly.
And the only time that an amount of giving was mentioned was where? When this little old lady's coming up in the line, right? And she gives the littlest coin that there is.
Yeah.
And Jesus looks right at her and says, I tell you the truth, this woman has given more than all the rest of them. I love these people with it's kind of like God's an ATM. They tell you, if you'll give $100 today, God will return $1,000 to you in the next 30 days, or something. I'm going, really? Is this, you going to get his hand? Are you going to get his arm and stick it behind his back and twist it and go, say, listen, you owe me?
Yeah.
Really? God owes you? Where exactly is that in the Bible? It's a crap out. It really, to me, it is.
And they talk so fast so you don't notice them.
Very good. It's an art. But you
Are you
feel,
writing a new one or you just, yeah?
Yeah.
and others is that you feel like the pressure, you feel the pressure, they put you in pressure right there, It's like you don't do this, you don't
And if you can give, they make you feel guilty.
They really put a pressure on you, they really put a pressure.
That's what I say, they make you guilty.
You're eating in the church and then you're not giving enough to the church. It's like, oh my God, it's like you're gonna throw up. It's like, then I get to the Lord and you have to say it.
So these people are going to be judged. That's what it says already. And here on chapter 2, there are examples of God's judgment upon. Remember what happened to the angels? It's mentioned there.
Yeah.
What happened to Noah? But then here it's talk about Noah and God. Even though they lived a sinful life, they lived with sinful people. God still showed His righteousness. And saved them. What happened to Lot? Remember what happened to him? He was living. He decided to go to the other side and take the better part of the land, and then he was there with his family, living with all the sinful people. But still, he was prayed for that God saved my cousin.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, he was living in Sodom, I think.
yeah.
But he said that he liked because they were business, they were business, they were money.
Yeah.
But he was tormented when he saw all the wickedness in those cities. So his soul was really uncomfortable, very
Yeah.
when he saw all the wickedness going on, and I think that's what also why God's saving, too. That's what he said.
And
Right?
sometimes when you are trapped in a way of life like that, it's hard for you to get out.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes, people intervene, God intervenes, because God knows what's in your heart, God knows what's in our hearts.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys heard what happened to that guy who was here on the baby shower
No.
that night?
I heard, you see who was killed, he died?
That's what Ben.
Oh, I
What,
talked
that
to
guy,
him.
the last one that we read?
Yeah.
That I talked to him for a while. Yeah.
You thought people, is that
And
you
yeah,
by
Is
what?
that, is that him?
I don't know.
And
Is
so
that
that
you?
was just a side trip.
Yeah. Is that him that I was talking to?
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
The
I was-
Hispanic guy, right?
Yeah, I talked to him, and I talked to him about Jesus, about God, and
That's very
really
sad.
like, I was like telling him, because he was saying that he was being persecuted, and I told him, if you come to this church really with good heart, seeking God, you will find Him. We come with another intention, you will not find God, but if you come with a good heart, with a good intention, you will find God in this church. And then they said, yeah, that's why I keep coming here, because I feel at peace here, I feel at peace.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
I think I remember I gave him a plate of food,
Yeah.
right? I prepared him a plate of food. He was the last person I
Yeah, you gave him
food
some
to.
noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the last person was eating.
Did you ask him if he was saved?
Yeah, I asked him, I was really,
He was the one who thinks that he's Jesus.
yeah, he was saying that he was telling me that people think that he is Jesus, and he was thinking that, he was kind of high in that night, he was kind of high.
Oh.
He was kind of high, but I was
Okay.
talking to him like that. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so sad. I remember.
Yeah, Ben was just telling me about him in the car on the way here. I'm like, wow,
Oh. Yeah.
that's awful. But anyhow. Okay, so going back, let's go to where we started reading with Brother Juan. I think that was from verses
I think it's
17 to 22.
yeah, I think it's chapter 2.
Yeah. Okay, so again, there's I put it there as a Roman numeral number 3, further explanation of the sinful nature. And here we could really see that in the false prophet's life, the sinful nature is very, very overpowering them. That's where all these desires are coming from. It's the flesh that's living in them. So again, if you read on verse 18, it says, enticing those who just escaped error. Number 19, verse 19, it says, only Christ can promise freedom, but they try to promise that as well. And then on verse 20, it says there that they were believers. And then the back to wickedness, this is where the backsliding comes from. Remember what it says there when you read it, Brother Juan, that it would have been better if they did not hear about it than heard it and still did what was wrong. And I think that has a lot of bearing with the Lord. Backsliding, I hear a lot of testimonies of people who have backslidden, but I think backsliding has taken like a very light meaning to these people, because I believe that when you really have backslided, it's really something that's very heavy in the eyes of the Lord. And it says here, read it again, Brother, on verse the last one. Okay, here. Verse 21.
It would have been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than to have known it and then to turn their backs on the sacred command that was passed on to them.
And here on the commentary, if you open your book on page 131. Actually 130, but on yours, it might be 5 pages forward.
5 pages forward.
Maybe.
Or the emptiness of the false teachers.
It's the verse 21. We're just going to go on the commentary of the author. Mine will read on that verse.
What page are you?
On mine, it's the old book is
Yeah.
130.
Okay.
On
It
yours,
says Peter persists the theme.
yeah, the
And
theme,
ignorance.
the ignorance of
Okay,
the way of
141.
141. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So here, it says here that it's the other term for way of righteousness, or ignoring the way of righteousness, is apostasy from it. Right?
Mhm.
And what have you guys heard about apostasy? What have you guys? What? There's something so heavy about apostasy, and I believe that when you go that route, it's hard to come back around. It really takes the grace of God for you to come back around. Who was that pastor that was also in Dream Center?
Jimmy Baker.
Jimmy Baker. But I love the testimony that God has given him to bring him
Jimmy
back
Baker
around.
something?
Yeah. I
Well,
did not know. Okay,
This
you
is
know Mark.
kind of how that worked. When Jim Baker got out of jail, He was kind of like a leper.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted
wanted
anything to do with him in any way, shape, or form. So finally, Tommy Barnett said, "Come on, Jim." And he took him up, and Jim lived up at the Dream Center for about a year.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they worked through a lot of issues on trying to get him restored, to change the way he was thinking about some things, get him out of this business mentality and money and all this stuff. Give him a place to eat, to breathe, to be a human being, to spend a lot of time talking with God, a lot of time in the Word. And then he went on, he's got a church now, I think it is down in Virginia or West Virginia, someplace down south. I don't know anything about it, but that's what I have been told concerning him.
I've seen his new TV program.
I know, it's cable. It's a lot, two or three of them, I think.
And if you hear him, it's so different from how he used to talk.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember before I heard him, and this was way back, and I was not even really a Christian at that time, and he could just be, I don't know, shocked by what comes out of this man's mouth, and still people would fall for it. A lot of older people gave money, right? And then he had a big community of all these things that are he was just booming. But then God had to stop. God had to stop and intervene and all that. And I didn't know that he became a disciple at the Dream Center. And by God's grace, he turned his life around, and he repented, and he got, God just brought him back up. He revived him. He
Glad that he was
restored him and everything. Not just, I believe it's a full restoration with what's going on with him now. There was a time when he came back to Dream Center to talk about his testimony. So yeah, it's just awesome. And then I don't know, maybe you guys have heard of that verse 22 a lot of times, that about the dog going back to his own vomit.
Robbers.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but we're talking about false prophets, right? And that's a very big issue. But let's go take it down a notch to where, not even false prophets, let's talk about ourselves. God brought us out of something that was nasty, that was ugly from our lives back then. And then we've come around, and the next thing you know, we're back at the same thing. Not that we're affecting other people in that small scale, but we could, because there's a testimony that God has given us. And then when we go back to that same place, it's more of like, what happened? It's a place where we do not really want to go back to, but then again, 2 Peter chapter 2 is talking about, if you really have not died to that sinful nature will always come back and
Pull you down.
pull you down and
Pull you down.
grab you from the back, and I really believe that sometimes it happens, but then because of how we submit ourselves to the Lord, He intervenes. But what if we don't? Then we are just bringing ourselves back down to the downward spiral. Hello, no, sorry, no problem. So
It's with drugs and alcohol, I don't have a good answer. I thought for a while I did, but I don't. The more you work around them folks, the less confident you are in your own answers, if you will. I praise God that I never backslid. I never went back to the bottle. When I was done, I was done. That may be because I'm not a strong person. you know, a weaker person, God knew that I couldn't, and I knew I couldn't play close to the line when it came to the alcohol and whatnot. I just, years later, I could go to a bar and I could sit around and talk with guys and talk about Jesus or whatever. And then he finally convicted me of that too. He said, you know, Mark, that's the devil's house.
Yeah.
You just stay out of it, you know. There's other places, not as, yeah, it was kind of like, you wait for them people to come to my house or out on the street or something like that, and we'll talk to them there. For me, it's hard to kind of understand, you know, like you've been a Christian for 20 years, 25 years, and all of a sudden you crawl back in the bottle. I wonder about that. I don't have a good answer at all. I'm sorry. I don't even have a good, I don't even suspect, I don't think. I've determined there's about 7 billion things in the world that I don't even know that I don't know. The destruction, people just don't seem to get it that every single time you fall, it's way deeper and it's way harder to come back out. It's not the same bottom. It's like a chasm or a big, deep hole. And every time you go farther and farther down into the dark, and it's much farther out the next time. And I feel bad for some of these people that can't seem to let go and let God enough to overcome.
But then let me tell you something. I've been in that place where I was really struggling. I was an alcoholic and a drug addict. You know, when I was really experiencing deep depression, man, you know, I found myself just passing through those, when you go to 7-Eleven, those wine and beer and alcohol already. It's like automatically I found myself going back to looking at those alcohol and going, oh, you know, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, maybe, and then, and you know how if you're an alcoholic, your throat kind of go like, you know, I'm thirsty.
You're just like, oh, just a beer. You're just
I'm
like,
thirsty for this.
you're just like,
Not water, I'm thirsty for alcohol. You know?
The old adage is that one is too many and 1,000 is not enough drinks.
See, Satan knows how to tell you.
and the devil knows when you're weak.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's
You're vulnerable, yeah, when you're vulnerable, especially, yeah.
devil knows when you're weak.
Yeah.
Thank you right there.
Hallelujah.
I guess it's okay.
But God, thank God.
And it's not just about drugs and alcohol. I think every person has their own addiction. Mine is the shopping obsessive. And there were times when I really catch myself unable to control myself buying stuff. Oh, really? And
We understand, honestly.
No,
We may be laughing.
women are like that.
No, but addiction is addiction is addiction. We do understand, even if we're giggling a little bit, because I can just almost see you standing there going,
but it's a good deal.
what am I doing?
And so many times what happened is that I left the cart and I walked away,
Oh,
and it's a good feeling. But I'm like, man, that was a deal. But yeah, it's really something that even a slight feeling of that could bring you so much guilt inside, and that's when you know you're not in the right place. That's when you know your standing is not right with God, even though you think that, oh yeah, it's only going to be $20, but then again, do you really need it? Is it really something that...
how many $20 on your credit a month? Though?
Exactly,
That's-
right?
It accumulates.
So, anyhow, let's go back to the book. I want to read to you guys the last paragraph before it goes to chapter 3. It says there, why has Peter expended so much powder and shot on the false teachers in this chapter? Because he is primarily a pastor. He is concerned to feed his master's sheep, and he is furious to find them being poisoned by lust, masquerading as religion. It is only by paying very cursory attention to the contents of this passage that Caseman can say the attack on the heretics has taken on a stiff and stereotyped character, because the writer is no longer conducting the campaign on the basis of his own experience. It does our generation little credit that such passion for truth and holiness strikes an alien note in our minds. Peter's plain speaking in this chapter has a very practical purpose, just as Jesus' warnings had. What I say to you, I say to everyone. Watch. We would be mistaken to assume it could never happen to us. Both scripture and experience assure us that it could. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 12 says that. Covetousness, sophistical arguments, pride in knowledge, gluttony, drunkenness, lust, arrogance against authority of all kinds, and most of all, danger of denying the lordship of the Redeemer. Are these not all the paramount temptations of money-mad, sex-mad, materialistic, anti-authoritarian 20th century men? That's what I'm talking about. That when we talk of false prophets, false teachers, we think it's just mostly the denying the lordship of the Lord Jesus Christ, or just gaining financial gain. But it could also be all these tiny little things, but they're not really tiny. They're big things for that particular individual who even suffers from that. So again, we have to be careful saying that we are strong, we are firm, standing firm, because it is only by the grace of God that we are able to stand firm. And we have to continue praying that His hand will always be upon us, that it will never be taken away, uncovering us, because then we will be very vulnerable. So, there you go, chapter 2. Next week, chapter 3 with Pastor Hector. I will be turning over materials to him.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I don't know how long my maternity leave will be. I don't know. But hopefully I will be back before the semester ends.
I know, so he's gonna give us.
I have your emails. If there's anything, email me, or if not, if I see some stuff, I can email you guys extra notes here and there. Okay? Or I'll see you guys. It's not like I'll be
What's the
disappearing.
coverage of the finance?
The